Hello, my name is Michal Vallo and I am from Czech Republic, and today I will speak try to introduce Bata Management System and how does it relate to Agile. My presentation will have two parts. One is about Bata Management System and the other one, the last two slides, are about how I see the way Agile should be presented, because I use this concept for 15 years and I believe that people should learn a little bit more, and I was in sort of, not conflict, but opposite ideas with Björn Bognes and his Beyond Budgeting, so I will also try to show you how the Beyond Budgeting works. If you can, everybody come as close as possible, because the screen is small, there is a lot of pictures and I will try to show you more. So first, why I am here tonight. I am in Agile for more than 20 years and my background is in the management. So I was, by coincidence, the first Scrum Master of the Czech Republic, so I introduced Scrum and Agile stuff into the country. And I was doing the first Agile transformation in the country. I was working at that time with Actum organization, and it was slight mess. So my task was to put it back in track and to design it to growing stage. And during this period we experimented a lot with Agile practices, not just implementing the frameworks, but in cross-organization activities. So Agile is not about pure framework. Later on I founded the company Aguara as a consulting business, and I was organizing the famous conferences in Europe. We were listed among top 20 in the world, only 1 out of 6 in Europe, focused on general Agile, on product management, specialized events. So today I help managers to understand what Agile is about. I am also a trainer. So far I trained about 1,600 people on Agile stuff. So based on this is my background, and this is why I am talking to you about Agile. I have a couple of questions on you, and first of them is, how many of you are working in corporation? Yes, almost everyone. And how many of you are working in startup? Nobody? How many of you do not fit to either category? This question is tricky. And how many of you are aspiring entrepreneurs? That's great, thank you. Why this question is tricky? Because it's a continuum. On one side we have the corporate world. Very static. We try to play with Agile a little bit, but we are losing the game. And if there is any benefit of corporation, I don't know which one it is, because we can list the long list of negative things, but very little positive. On the other side is a startup environment. This is about somebody has a lot of money, put it into business, and expect that another guy will grow it in 2 or 3 years, multiple times, and then they will exit. That's all. Successful exit counts. But what if we are not in this part? What if we are in the middle? And we build the organization to last, to have the real impact on environment, to real impact on community, to real impact on clients and customers. So if you look on history of management and dig deeper, you will end up with these 4 gentlemen. Maybe most of you know at least one of them. Some of you 2 of them, Some of you even 3 of them, yes, good, and probably I am the only one who know 4 of them. Why are they here? Henry Ford and Production Line Corporation. Frederick Taylor, Scientific Management, how to run the organization strategically. But Henry Fayol, he invented what is the management about. He wrote the first book about what are the responsibilities of the management. And Thomas Bata, what?
Missing Max Weber?
Not that much important. Thomas Bata, he was entrepreneur equal to Henry Ford, but I will explain the differences later. But his impact on the world was very huge, that's why we are sitting here. Just give you some content. We are speaking about company Bata, and Bata was the shoe manufacturer. It was founded in 1894 as a family business by Thomas Bata, his brother, sister, other brother, and 8 people, so altogether 12 people. Small business, really small. When they grew around 1939, for those that are from India, this is the date when the Second World War started. That's why it is important, because it has a huge impact on everything that happens in Europe. At that time, the Czechoslovakia disappeared and became the protectorate of Germany. And at that time, the company had to split. It had 2 headquarters, one in Zlín, in German-dominated area or controlled area, and the other one in Toronto, Canada, in Allied Forces controlled area, I would say. At that time, the company had about 67 to 90,000 people, and the resources vary because it's historical data, so I am not able to say with precision. But if you look on the date, 1894, 1939, just 40 years, plus minus, and the growth is phenomenal. Why it is possible? How they manage this? This picture is for illustration. It's from Bata Nagar, India. I took it from Google Street View, so it should be sort of actual, because I couldn't find any other better. In 2000, Bata organization had a headquarters in Lausanne in Switzerland, and it had smaller regional representations like Singapore and Ciudad de Mexico, and about 50 factories in 56 countries, altogether around 50,000 people. I have no idea how it is today. But I give you the context. These data are interesting, but this is the context. This is the city of Zlín. The company was founded in Zlín. Zlín was the small village, basically, on the border between Czech Republic and Slovakia. Today, thanks to the Bata, it is the 5th biggest town in the country. And living standard is extremely high, much higher than Prague. So if you are choosing to live in Czech Republic, this is definitely the choice. Sorry? It's better than Prague, for sure. For sure. If you are focused on the family, definitely Zlín is much better. You can have a look also this interesting thing. Up to 21, it was just a small growth, because the company was growing slowly, it attracted little number of people, but then the phenomenal growth because they completely changed the strategy. And then it grew up to 80,000, and now we have the population in Europe. So every town is going slightly down. Some of them faster, some of them not that fast, but all of them are going down. So this is in line with the general trend. And if I speak about Thomas Bata, I speak about 2 persons. This is the founder, Thomas Bata, and this is his stepbrother, Jan Antonín Bata. The one was running the company from 1894 to 1932, and the other one continued even later, but we will talk today up to 1945. This is the period we will cover today. The reason why there was the ownership change, the aircraft accident. Tomáš Bata died in the aircraft accident. He went to open his new factory to Switzerland in the day of opening. That's why they departed early in foggy day, and they lost the control because aeroplanes of that time didn't have artificial horizon. So today we call it managed flight into terrain. This building is just illustration, but this is the headquarters of Bata in Zlín. At that time, it was the first concrete skyscraper in Europe, the tallest building in Europe, very technologically advanced. It was built around 1936. We will have a look back to the foundation, because if you start to focus on leadership and management, you will realize that nobody was born as a true leader. Leadership comes with maturity, and maturity comes with exposure to difficult situations. And they will reveal this, your true you or not. So when Bata started the company, he was thinking how to build a stable organization, but basically they almost bankrupted multiple times, and one of the reasons was they were playing the aristocracy. At that time, the aristocracy, it's like here Maharaja, in our country king, and these people never worked. They had an army of people that worked for them. And the problem was when they founded the company of 12, they started to behave like Maharaja, but they didn't work. And if nobody was working in the organization, it generated a lot of loss. And they basically almost bankrupted. So this was the learning, that we can get out of the problem if we work hard. There is also another thing that influence that. Today, if you are in America, for example, you can bankrupt and everybody say no problem, start another business. In Europe, you bankrupt and you are gone forever. You have zero chance to repeat. So that's why he decided that we have to work out of the crisis, not just forget the crisis. And from time to time I will put some quotes. It's difficult to read because this screen is too yellow, but it says that if you want to build the real company, you have to build yourself first. It was his famous quote. Then we will go to step 2, looking outside of the box. They were trying to sell the stuff all around Europe, maybe even to the world, so they went to Germany, and Bata was asking, why everybody are much rich than we are? Why the country is rich? And he came to conclusion, because of industry. They have factories, they have machinery, we are doing everything manually, that's why we are poor. The second, he traveled to America. At that time, he had already the business of about 100 people, maybe 200, I don't know. It was for us a big company already. But he applied for a job as an ordinary worker in Ford Motor Company to be able to learn about how it works from inside. And he learned that it very well works on processes, but the employee, taking care of employees, and general, how the company takes care of people, it's very disastrous. And it is also America standard today that you can be fired, you can be transferred, you are just a resource basically. But he said that this is not the way how to do it. On the way back, he traveled to England and Germany. In the same time, he founded a job there. He worked in the factories as an ordinary worker there, trying to figure out what behind they are rich and we are poor. He discovered unions. So when he came back, he advised his employees unionize and it will be better. But what happened? The same problem as he had in the previous slide. The new leaders became new Maharajas, nobody was working, everything almost bankrupted. So it was a bad experience. And from here starts the system of Bata Management System. And he was thinking like, if we want to work toward something, everyone must participate. Everyone must be entrepreneur. This is quite important stuff. So no business will grow to greatness if we do not find a way how to turn workers to directors, how to enhance people to grow. That's why everyone must be involved. So, how to motivate people? If everyone is involved, everyone must have what is in for me. And what is in for me, there is an impact on how well the people are. And wealth is impacted through high salary and low cost of living. Can we impact both of them? No? Other opinion? Today, general belief would be no, you are correct. But I was thinking we have to find a way how to do it. And that's why he started from the vision. We are making the shoes for the world. Important part is for the world. So we are not a local business anymore. We are thinking globally in the 1930, 1920, which is very unique. And he say, in my work I didn't mean to build the plant, but the people. I built a man to be more efficient and serve the customer better, and then he built a plant. So this is it. By the way, this is the headquarters that was on the first slide but finished. Inside there is one technical curiosity, it's a lift office. The Bata had the office in the lift, including small meeting room, to speed up the time between the floor and organizing the meetings. The lift office was air conditioned and it had a running hot and cold water in it. The building was equipped with pipe mail, with Siemens phone exchange and with IBM accounting computers. I was drilling Wikipedia what it is IBM computer. I figured out that it is something that was invented 1 year before. In 1936, it was used for accounting and it was using the drilling cards for accounting. So they focused on extreme productivity to achieve the high salary. So first was productivity, after was the high salary. Everything had to be built through the self-organized workshop. So one workshop is where the people are working, and the maximum size of the workshop unit or economic center is 150 people. If we speak about workshop, we have something that workshop deliver to a supply, sales, stores, or we have downstream supply part of, this is the value chain basically. And on the top of it is accounting and administration department. By the way, the planning was the key. We have the customer is buying the shoes and pays the money. It's obvious, but now is the thing. This is the value chain, how we deliver the shoes to the customer and how the money goes through the system back. So everything must be counted. Everybody generates money. There is no cost center. There is only profit center everywhere. You can technically be a workshop and you can bankrupt inside the company. If you bankrupt, most probably nobody needs your services, so it's okay. And this financial flow managed all the system. So we had to know at every stage how much profit we generate right in this point. By the way, there was a 36 internal downstream type of workshops or factories or units, and they could use also the external one. For example, if sales was not satisfied with quality of workshop, they could fire them and hire somebody from outside. Never happened, but the possibility was there. So there is no cost center, and we focus on lowest price, highest quality. It's easy to say, difficult to do, but they were doing it through having their own stores. They never sold through a third party. This enabled to control the value chain, and also to have a direct contact with the client. They were using the CRM system, sort of, manual version, and it was also very unique at that time. Factory structure. Management office, this administration that you saw in the first place, it was taking care of accounting and planning and this kind of stuff. And the workshop. Workshop was entrepreneur unit, so the head of the workshop, the foreman, was also the small entrepreneur responsible for profitability of operation. And then we had some trainees also. Every workshop must have the trainees. They are not there only to learn a new stuff, but also to create artificial pressure on people to communicate them that you can be replaced by somebody. Economy, everything is based on transactions. So in the previous slide you have seen the financial transactions, contracts between the units, but there were also the norms. So what is the minimum production you have delivered? If you fail to fulfill the contract, your unit paid a very heavy penalty. Rapid capital turnover. The organization was working on the sprint system. Today we would call it sprint, at that time they call it 1 week planning. So the company was able to switch completely production in about a week.
Which year?
Which year? 1920. And there was also the profit participation. So if the unit generated profit, you could distribute the profit instantly during the week when the profit was generated. There is no cap on the profit, so the profit is unlimited. And also the salary was unlimited. That's why the salary was very high with Bata. They didn't focus on how to squeeze worker and to make them cheaper and to transfer them to some third country, no. They were focusing on how to pay the best salaries possible. No fixed structure because the company was growing, so it had a dynamic system. That's why this unit of 150. So if you wanted to build a factory, basically you needed more units of 150. Today it is most similar system is Holacracy for something like this. Decentralized structure, so decisions were done on the level of the workshop, not on the level of the factory. I was speaking about this. These are the historical pictures because the company wrote the knowledge base into the book that was published in 1932. It was quite thick. It's very difficult to get. I don't have it, but I had possibility to photocopy it. So this is the pictures from it. This is not the organization structure of the company, but they call it a unit. Unit is a complete copy of the factory. If they wanted to go to, for example, open new production in India or in Turkey or Egypt, they copy-paste the whole factory and they transfer it to other country. If I zoom it in, here you have this section, and here is the list of how many people you need to know. And imagine this word says entrepreneur in the year of 1925, something like this. I would expect boss, manager, something like this, but they call it entrepreneur. Here is the structure, so you need 5 people of most serious one, 5. You need 15 of middle managers. you need 82 of additional, then you need some workers, and here is the 2000 something ordinary workers that are not in the plant, they are somewhere here. Interesting part, every section has head of school. They were training the people for the job to be able to do a quality job, and that's why they were doing much better business. By the way, this is very same. Last week I visited Jaipur Raks, and they have very same approach to artisans in the rural villages. They train them in finishing department to show them what mistakes they are doing and helping them to understand how to prevent it. Because if they prevent it, they make more money. This is the workflow of construction department. So here is, for example, requirement, how we need a new building. Here are some calculations. Approval process, here is approval. Rejected, it means it goes to archive. Approved, we start building, and building is delivered. Workflow, it's picture from 1925. Yeah?
So the head of the school was also having the same ownership and was getting the same kind of profit which other.
Everybody were distributing the profit of their center.
Yeah, equally.
There was a system, like how much the head of the department, how much other people, because there was also some responsibility. For example, ordinary worker was receiving only profit, but the managers was also sharing the loss. If you generated the loss, you had to pay for it. That's why if you was appointed to be a manager, first thing you had to do, you had to pay 6 salaries to the company bank as a guarantee, because from this guarantee was paid the damages that you may cause. So this is also the production. Here we have planning is the key. Planning is to eliminate the chance, to have the clear idea who is doing what and when. And there was the long-term development plan break down to 2-week plans, and this was break down to daily plans. We went from production 24,000 pieces of shoes per day to 100,000 pieces of shoes per day in the factory of 3,000. Intra-accounting, so fixed prices between the departments, but heavy penalties for undelivery. So if you were supposed to deliver 1,000 pairs of shoes and you didn't meet that requirement, you paid a very heavy penalty. There was also the pressure on procurement, how to keep the best prices with suppliers, and we had our own network of shops to control the pricing. Yeah.
They had the penalties.
The contract between, for example, the workshop and the sales department. This was a contract, written contract. And there was also a written penalty, and this penalty was quite heavy. I will show you another picture. This is the reporting. Reporting was standardized, so in every country was the same. So if anyone from company in Czech Republic went to India and the form was written in Indian language, he could understand instantly what it is about. They avoided to written reports in text. They tried as much as possible use numbers. So you quickly knew the state of the everything. This is the plan. This says plan numbering for the year 1940. Here is January, February, March, April. And here are the features. The week number 1, 4th of January 2040. But, this is interesting, every week starts on Thursday. There is a reason for it, but this was the only company that had a working week from Thursday to Wednesday. Because the last is the production planning, and this one is planning. That's why the ordinary people had a 5-day work week. It was unique at that time at Czechoslovakia. It did not exist before. He introduced 5-day work week. But for managers and for planning department was 6 week. They work on Saturday. Saturday was only planning and analyzing the production. That's why everyone had to put his salary and count his own salary, send it to the Department of Accounting. They calculated it overnight for the Saturday session, basically. This is the administration. They took care only about accounting, mailing, archiving, statistic, and inspection. This is, by the way, the map of the building, which department is where, so you can easily find it. This is the annual budget for unit 1202. So probably one workshop had this label, or it could be something. This is the salary, and this is the cost, how much costs something. So you will see that the salary of people is the highest number, and the other numbers are machinery and all this kind of stuff. This is calculation for coal, how much we need how much coal we need to make certain amount of cement. Everything was calculated to the last point. It was incredible. But salary calculation every Friday. Every employee had to calculate his salary. This was the reason was, if you are entrepreneur and you do not touch the money, then you are not entrepreneur. So you have to touch your own money to understand what you did wrong. Salaries were published. All salaries of all workers were published, and it was understood that who has the highest salary is the best worker. So it was internal competition. The salaries were paid every Monday to the bank account of the company bank. The money that you had in the bank were paid interest rate 10%. The company had the access to 10% capital. It was most probably cheaper than you get from the bank. But for ordinary people, it was much higher interest rate that they would get in the bank. So production output 100,000, accounting practices. If I compare with today IT company, it's not possible to do it this way mostly. If you send them invoice, they will process your invoice in 3 weeks in Bata. Without computers, they were able to process everything in 1 day. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is the workshop. The profit sharing means profit and loss. If we generate loss, we pay workers. For them, the profit sharing was about 20 to 30% of salary. For director level, it was multiple salary. So basically, your foundation was little, and you received a lot of money from this percentage. High salary payment, salary calculation every Friday. All salary is public, bank account. The system of work was 8 hours, so 8 hours you sleep, 8 hours you work, 8 hours you have for fun. And this was maintained because the work in the production was very physically demanding. So that's why they paid strict separation of this. If you used your knowledge and improved something, then of course you get the bonus. And bonus was something like you could buy the half of the house with the bonus, not such a small bonuses like today organization pay. Productivity, just for your information, in 1939, the average Czechoslovak company had productivity 4.2 pairs of shoes per worker per day. United States 5, Bata Company 12.5. So from here was the money coming. This is different verticals they had operating to control the value chain. Many type of organizations they had, but interesting is it's very similar to Musk model today. What Tesla is doing or what SpaceX is doing is basically the same thing. This is the car department. They had a forest plantation in Indonesia. And because they wanted to get the rubber, it's from the tree. At that time it was not possible to do it chemically, it was from the tree, and they wanted to ship their own cargo to Czech Republic, and it was very expensive. So they decided if we buy the boat, it will be our own boat, and we will ship the cargo, and then we will sell the boat. And they didn't sell the boat, and they founded the company Czechoslovak Naval Freight Transportation, and they were operating just another production line. They were making their own machinery, their own instruments, they had their own railway tracks, but today if you want to build something like this in Europe, you go to government. Please give me donation, European funds. Bureaucracy and corruption, enormous corruption. In Batavort, we don't want anything from the government. No. Vice versa, we give the government. So they build hospital. This is the hospital, and these pictures are from 1925. If you look closer, it's maybe better hospital than we have today. This is the Children's Hospital of Zlín, built by Bata. Internal bank and insurance hospital. Let's go to other one. There are no employees. Everyone was co-worker. They try to eliminate the word employee because everyone participate. And they focused on pride. We are Bata people. That's why we are proud of working in Bata company. And it was really something. It was not that easy that everyone could go there. I never found in literature the mass layoff, like today's common. Mark Zuckerberg has a bad night, so he fired next day 10,000 people, no problem. But at that time didn't exist it. They supported after work activity, so this is the cinema, biggest in the country, 2,000 people can fit in. And today it also serves as there is a film festival, and marketing department transformed to a school of marketing activities in Zlín. And they organized the film festival. This used to be a hotel, today it's hotel, this part. This part is still hotel, you can sleep there. And they had a shortage of people. This is something special and very unique. In 1922 there was a big economic crisis. Because it was after the war, economy practically stopped. Nobody was buying. The warehouses were full of production, everything paralyzed. But other companies were firing the people. Bata said, we will not fire anyone because we train them, we work with them, it's our people. It's about the pride. So they reduced the pricing by 50%. And they start selling. And because of these, other companies in the same business had to reduce the price. And then the other companies in other businesses had to reduce the price following this. And the economy restarted. How this was possible? They agreed with the employees that they will reduce the salary by 60% for 3 months. And they will compensate it by company shop and providing the cheap food for them. So, shortage of people, that's why we need our own school. This is the school, and this is the boarding school because they wanted to rewrite the mentality of people. Imagine today, you go to India, to rural village, there are many people, and you want to change their mentality to think about how to do business globally. And this is the challenging task. It was identical task Bata had in 1920. So he built the school and he started to teach people. It was sort of military drill, I would say. But this is the students from Egypt, this is the students from India, in Zlin. Here is the schedule. Wake up 5:30, 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock evening, factory work. Every student was working to learn how to work. Then they went to school, 18 to 21:30. And at 22, they went to sleep. For working in the factory, they were getting the salary. And from salary, they paid everything for themselves, including the space in the dormitory, the training material, food, everything. It was not allowed to get support, financial or food from the family. And the money, they went to bank account. Again, the students also get 10% bank interest. And every week they had to put the book, they call it spending book, sort of accounting. What I earned, what I spent, and they had to go to director of school to approve it. They were learning accounting this way. So education was standardized, so anyone who finished the school could start working in any factory of Bata around the world and immediately knew what to do. But there was also a special group of students, they were supposed to become managers. That's why this special clothing, because it was the clothing of high society. They were supposed to learn how to deal with kings, presidents, ministers, and this kind of people. That's why you are wearing this kind of clothing, to get familiar with this kind of clothing. This is the student canteen for these high-level people, because it was designed like expensive restaurant. You must be familiar what to do if you are in banquet with the king or something. For them it was also to learn 2 foreign languages, and I was in shock to find that in Zlin it was possible to study Indonesian language, Hindi, Russian, Arabic, Farsi. So they had a lot of from to choose, because it's where the factory will be, they will go there. In general, the school was for 4 years. After the school, it was expected that male had a saving in the bank account 100,000 Czech korunas and female 50,000 Czech korunas. If they got married, 150,000 was their starting capital. It was more than enough to buy a house. New house, not somewhere little. New house, brand new house. It was also expected people go to pension at the year of 50. Pension system didn't exist at that time, but I introduced for his workers the pension system. Qualification, at that time you could become a manager only after you passed the school. Then you applied for management position, and you got the coach, and you was trainee, and then you become a manager. Today you are in IT companies promoted, and if you do not perform after 1 year, they start to think why you are not performing and which training you get. I will not speak about famous quotes, but only one thing. You can Google them, there's more than 50 of them, but they are about attitude, mostly about ambition, about values, about vision. So, city planning and architecture, this is the picture from the company, not that old. I expect 10 to 15 years by the cars on the street. This was the vision. This is how the industrial town should look like for the people. Here is the factory, and here people live. Nobody should have more than 15 minutes to get to work, by bicycle maximum.
This is all that content as well.
Yes, but this was designed in 1930, something like this. So it was designed for 10,000 people, because 3,000 work in the factory and they have families and this kind of stuff. So here is calculation what we need. And for example, In Czech Republic we eat cows, sorry guys. And we need for this kind of CD 510 of them per year. And here is how many chickens, how many fishes and this kind of stuff. Oh, 45 minutes gone. So give me 5 minutes and I will try to close it. This is the layout of the city, the factory, the people, the school. And now we will look on this street. This is the picture, color picture. This is the headquarters with the lift. But here is the asphalt road, which was funny because the company had asphalt road and perfectly tailored the green fields. But when the workers went home, they crossed the border of the company and suddenly the same roads like in India today, you got dirty after rain especially. So that's why it was a conflict. Here is the lift, so cable railway. So they transport it from building to building with cable railway to speed up the production. What more? This is and now is the key part, like how to keep living costs down. You have to understand the entire value chain and play about it. So they build the shopping mall. First shopping mall in Europe. Identical like today's are shopping malls, built in 1931. Today, this is my picture. It's after renovation. It still serves as a shopping mall, as a restaurant. This is the historical picture of the restaurants, and this is the deposit where the material is stored. This is behind this, the cinema. We cannot see it, but this is the hotel I was showing you, and this is the headquarters. At the time, the tallest. On the top is a restaurant, so coffee, so you can have a look. But they build it to control the price level of the city. And if they could push it down for all shops because of their shopping mall, then you had a comfortable life. You had a 4 times higher salary than was the average in the country, and you had significantly lower prices than any other town in the country. This is the office building, as you see, similar like this. How much time do you think takes to build this building? Any guess?
2 months.
2 months?
Yeah,
About a year? No? Year? 6 months. 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And when they built this structure, they put machinery in and they started to work, and only after they finish it. So it was cheaper in business case. And today it's first. Impossible to build it with today technology in 4 weeks. It would take minimum 1 year. And it's not possible to start working like this, it's illegal. So that's why the buildings are much more expensive. They invited the best architect of the time to help them to design buildings, because design is important for people. This is another one, this is the house. They build the houses for people. Every house must have a garden, this was requirement. Because where you are going to relax on Sunday afternoon? Doing the grill or barbecue in the garden. This is the small house, there is a medium house and bigger house for managers, medium workers and ordinary workers. How many salaries do you think you need to build a house? And to buy the new house, completely new house? Year? 3 years. How many? 5 years. 1 year. 1 year salary of ordinary worker should be enough to pay cash for the brand new house. Today in Czech Republic you must take at least 35 years mortgage. At least. If you qualify for this. If you live in Prague, you will need about 200-year mortgage. which you will never get. So your chance to get any living is almost zero.
They reduce the price significantly so that
No, they never subsidized anything. Everything had to be profitable, and the profitability comes from value stream. If you understand the value stream, here is the how we finance the project. How much cost the land? How much cost the project? How much cost construction? And this is the final owner. Today, it's separated by independent company. You go to bank, they charge you like crazy. You want to buy the land, you have to go to sort of developer that sells the land, and they charge you like crazy. Then you order from architects the project, and they charge you like crazy. And the construction, 300% profit, no problem. In the end, nobody has the money to buy it. What he did, he purchased the land, he used his own financing from operational cost. He invited his own project managers from the factory to manage the project, and he had construction company that was building this. So technically he controlled the entire value chain. He kept the profit margin. Each step had to be compulsory profitable, but he achieved the low price with this. Today, these buildings were designed for 40 years to last, and it was expected they will be demolished and something new will be constructed. Today, this building have 110 years. Nobody sells them, that's why you cannot buy it. The living standard of living in it is very high. That's why nobody sells it. This is by chance. They needed transportation from Zlín to the biggest river, which is Danube River. So they built a channel 60 kilometers long. The company built the channel, not the government like today, and millions of years of construction. They built it in two or 3 years, and today it serves for tourism. So you can rent a boat, and we live out of this. This is not that important, but as I mentioned, he copied the factories all around the world. So he built 70 factories all around the world. The same design, standardization. It makes it cheaper. That's why the family houses were each the same, because standardization. Today, if you go to any Czech town or small village, immediately you recognize which building is the school, because Bata paid for Ministry of Education the plans, small school, medium school, large school, and that's why the ministry did not have to pay for architects and this kind of stuff. They paid only for building it. Every town has the same school, same layout. This is in France, this is headquartered in Toronto, this is in Canada, this is in India. And by the way, this is in Brazil. The town is Bata. Almost always, he founded the whole city. That's why the city has the title Bata something. And this is the main square of Bata, and square Jan Antonín Bata until today, which is great honor to anyone. This is the Bata Ipora in Brazil. This is the school, and here is written Escola Elementar Jan Antonín Bata. Until today, fully operational. This is the gift of Bata company to the state of Mato Grosso. A 12-kilometer long bridge, because the factory was right on the other side of Sao Paulo, and in Sao Paulo is a port, so they need a quick communication. So Bata built the bridge and gave it to the state of Mato Grosso as a gift. The bridge was inaugurated on 23rd August, and it is the same day when Jan Antonín Bata died. He died in the morning, so he never seen the inauguration of his own bridge. There are more people like him. Semco in Brazil, Jaipurax here in India, Morningstar in the United States, and you can find a couple of more. So it's not unique approach, but it is something like this. And sort of wrap up, everyone can be wealthy. And the wealthy of every stakeholder is important. That's why also the ordinary workers have to be wealthy. We have the higher purpose, how to improve the society, how to deliver impact on all stakeholders. Not only how to make as much money as possible for myself. Myself is not important. Important is the cause. There is strong values, culture, and self-organization. Transparency in every transaction. There was no politicking or not much politicking. And impact on all stakeholders. So this is the picture city of Zlín today. Very modern city, very high living of standard. And the city lives out of the legacy of the Bata factory. So this is all from Bata Management System. I hope you like it.
Yeah.
Feel free to share pictures. If you need the presentation, write me, I will send you PDF.
So yeah, Michael, very big question is coming in my mind. You showed all those accounting systems and I could relate them to the current agile frameworks which we have, and they're so similar. And is it that during, and this is so legendary, I mean they had done it way back in the 20s and 30s. So were these things classified that time that other people could not imbibe or take them for the other organizations? Were they classified secret?
No, this was not classified. Even the Bata encouraged other organizations to copy the system and to compete. For example, they organized competition of salaries. Mm-hmm. Who pays the highest salary to workers is the winner.
I think it's a big way where sustainability will happen for organizations if they do all this philanthropy. Tatas in India have done that, and they are thriving as compared to some of the other big players in our country, in my country. Okay, so I think any questions from you? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting actually, like to give the analogy of what Tatas have done in India. But this is very interesting. I
have to say that it does not come from altruistic reasons. Yeah. It comes from, I want satisfied workers, they are more productive. That's why we invited them to participate. That's why we built for them the houses.
Yeah.
Because if they are satisfied, they have their own life possible, they don't need to cheat and so on. So this is it.
Yeah, in fact, like the Tatas had a similar principle of working. The Indian government has borrowed a lot of things they did in general, like pension schemes and everything. Where can I find more information about this?
So on
the website.
So in the website it is there. So in Bengal, so they also have in Kolkata near that a Bata Nagar, where one of the cities they have built, and it was thriving during the 60s,
yes.
50s, 70s, yes. 70s, and then came the downfall when the communism came in, and then there was a lot of unionism, but then people tried to evolve and tried to bring in new ideas by appointing people from B schools. Okay, but then they were kicked out by these unions. But still it is thriving. I think when you buy a shoe in Kolkata and in India, it's Bata. It's number one. So there are other players, other shoes company, but then still this is the number. They have a larger market share. Yeah, another one. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was surprised that this is born in Czech Republic. And next time if I go to any Czech Republic, I'm going to visit this.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I invite everyone to visit city of Zlín. You will be very surprised. Very surprised.
The business model they are still following the same, or there is
I don't know. Changes? I don't know, but
because
I think
it is still 2000.
I finished my presentation in the year 1945. And the reason is because we had also the socialist revolution, there was destruction of many things and the operation transferred, there was fight between the owners, so many things changed, but also the education system changed. Today you do not have your own school, but you invite people from MBA school. And MBA school focus on how to build administration structure, how to administer, and this kind of stuff. They don't focus on entrepreneurship very much. And this is the problem, because if you have administrator in management, they destroy your model of working. It very much depends on the people.
So Michael, that 8 hours concept of work, that time it was not there. I mean, it was not there in the other organizations, I think. So they probably have pioneered it.
That's why I showed that he was one of the most important managers of the time, or influenced the management. And because of this, he was also rejected many times. For example, he was rejected to get visa when he escaped from Nazi occupation to United States, because Americans, entrepreneurs, didn't want it to have him there. He would impacted their business.
Yeah,
that's why he moved to Brazil.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been allowed to be so much philanthropy or have an 8-hour work or something, or not work on Saturdays.
I don't know what are the rules here, but if you have 5-week work or 6-week working week, but the question is, when I was in Latin America, they have still six-day work week.
No, in India also the 5-week came very late, isn't it? Do you remember when it came?
Maybe 2000, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean it was
2000.
Yeah, 2000. Yeah.
For us, it was like 1915 maybe. So this is it from Bata. If you are interested about this Agile stuff, I can continue. If not, we will stop here. And up to you. Choose yourself.
Just take a shot of
No, I
this.
will show you the complete picture if you want. This is just the first part.
People are saying that Agile is having a slow death.
Agile is not dead, and I will show
Especially
you.
the Scrum Masters.
This is the part of sources of agility. They are coming from management, project management, product management, software development, finance, maybe marketing, maybe this. But this part is about software development as we understand Agile. And you notice Agile Manifesto is just the one element out of it. Scrum Guide is here, and if we look why we did this activity to improve something. And there were people in management who wanted to improve management. They did some activities and they ended up with system of values and system of rules. The same here, the same here, the same here. Each of them is Agile, independently from each other. They never knew about each other when they did improvement. Also the finance people, they needed to improve the budgets. That's why they did improvement, and they end up with the same system of value, all of them independently from each other. That's why all of them focused on business performance. But if we speak about Scrum and Agile and Scrum Guide was influenced by the Tom Guild work. He introduced into IT the iterative approach.
Yeah, that was in.
And there was also Agile Manifesto influencing it. So from this you see that it's a cross-company activity. You cannot say that we implemented Scrum and we are Agile. No. And if I put the dates and timeline, you see that here we are in 1980, and the word Agile comes from this conference that was 1991. And this is the 90s, this is 2000, more or less 2000. Then the borders are foggy a little bit. So it may happen that somebody will complain, but here is important day, 2013. Before, volunteers were doing the improvement of the organization. They love it. They were keen, passionate about it, so they improved. Everything that happened here happened organically. That happened here, they already knew there is strong Agile movement, and they were thinking how we transfer the Agile to other departments, other areas, marketing, for example. Procurement. I don't have the book about HR here for the reason, if you Google that, you will find the yellow book Agile HR that is this thick, but the whole message is in HR they use projects. If you will use Scrum, you are Agile. So the whole message of the book is this completely wrong, and it's because IT people are moving outside and they try to teach people what Agile is about, without understanding what is marketing about, what is HR about, what is procurement about. But there are also other approaches like Holacracy and Teal, and these focus more on how to think cross-organization. And there are also other approaches like humanocracy that focus on purpose and healing organizations. For example, this is about Jaipurax if you are interested. And this focus very much on purpose, why we are doing this kind of business. And that's why I was in conflict with Bjarte Bognes, because he said, these people invented everything for IT part and we are about management of organization. And I say, no. In 2013, all of you started focusing on monetization and sale of certificate. And that's why you negotiated with Scrum Alliance about who will define what. We will make money here and we will make money in finance. So I encourage everyone to use also these kind of books. This is from today morning speaking. Main session opening keynote, and this is also very highly recommended book. I recommend it very much. Dynamic Management Strategy and Agile Company. Both of them are Swedish, I guess. This one is Indian. And that's it. This is my vision of how the Agile organization look like, because I am transformation coach, and this sort of framework I created when I retrospect what I did in many companies and how I managed the first company as a CEO. So motivation and engagement is about culture, and your role is to implement culture. That's why it's green, because it's a little bit more important than the others. If you have engaged people, you can focus on how organization makes money. You focus on value chain. Then you will realize that your people do not have enough knowledge. So how to encourage people to study more, bring in more knowledge and bring more innovation. And finally, are we able to support it with some type of process? This will help us. Here is what we can do. Focus on ambition. I am missing completely ambition in today medium and small companies. I don't know how about corporation, but loyalty does not exist in corporation. Here is about how we can share the profit. Here is how we visualize, delegate activities and all this kind of stuff. But I also learned that we have to do it in cycles, in small steps. When I focused on one of them, it was not working. You have to focus on all of them, and it's better to do in small iterations. And it probably never ends. So this is all what I have, my definition with help of AI, and this is all what I can do.
Yeah, it's written in Bengali.
This? I can't read it, so I put it here, and I hope somebody will tell me what is there.
It says that Shaftan, that last word is be aware of be cautious. Thickness. If you get stuck using an iron.
So wear shoes.
Yeah, so wear shoes.
So it is so old concept. So that time the doodle people never used to wear.
Because they were not vaccinated or they don't know what to do if they get cut from an iron.
I used this picture for 3 years, and finally I know what is that. This is picture from 19-something, very old.
When was it?
1920 or something like this, when they opened the factory. It's really very old.
From British India.
Even the language is a little old.
Yeah, correct.
I've seen this before.
Thank you very much.
So thank you. That's a really great presentation. This is really very insightful. And I'm really glad that you came and all the way from Czech Republic and did this session.
And I have something for you, only for one of you, but because the one of you is from Bata Nagar or close to? I have only one.
Thanks a lot. Great session.
Thank you very much.
The rest of the people don't know what they missed. Thank you. Yeah, they don't. They'll have to see the recording. I told them this session continued forever and ever.
I hope you was not sleeping or something.
No, it was really nice.
Good.
It was very interesting. Nice to know about the history. So, because if you want to make history, you need to know history. So you know what is this? This is Bata Nagar or? No, what is written over there? Oh, but I can speak Bengali, but I cannot read it. But, I am also a bit of it. I can
Be careful of
So I could read Savdhan. And Juto for it, for last is written Juto for it. Savdhan. Yeah, Dono Sher.
It's called Dhanush Tankar. So it means not Dhanush Tankar. So that means if you get cut on iron, so you will get taken up.
So there was no probably tetanus injection.
No, I may not be those days. So nowadays